Hello and welcome back to another early adopter episode, another My First, and this one's going to be on My First Review. Now I have to warn you, this is a little more advanced, so even advanced modelers in Sparx are going to find this episode very useful. So let's get started. All right, we're in our project here, and we need to go to project reports. And the first report is the feasibility study. This is required by the project proposal report. So this report here is dependent on the feasibility study. So what we're going to do is start a review. Several ways to start a review. You can right-click on the element, go to collaborate, and then select review, and you get the discussion and review window to pop up. So this gets us started, and then we can look at any collaboration that might have been taking place in real time by other stakeholders in the project. So what we want to do is go to start, we want to go to review, and we want to look at manage review. So as soon as we go in here, there is no review in managing review started for the feasibility study. So let's start one next. So I'm over in the planning phase for project reports. I have feasibility study selected. I can right click on this and I can start a discussion, which we've already done. And what I can do here to start the review under manage reviews is right click here, new review, right click over here, new review. Let's do it over from this review panel. So new review, it sees that what I've selected is in the planning phase. We're going to have it under proposed. You have active, closed, deferred, and proposed. Let's just start with proposed and then set some dates here. And let's just go over the next 4 days. So there are no other packages under here. We're selecting the planning phase namespace under project reports. We're going to hit OK. And there we go. Planning phase is under review now. Next, we're going to add a review set underneath this. So you can right click on here. Don't see the ability to create a new review set. If I'm over in this panel here, I can right click and I see add review set. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to put in feasibility study, and then I'm going to hit OK. So expand this, and now we have a review study set created. Let's double click it, and it has created a diagram for the feasibility study with this element here for review. And if I double click this, I go right back to the element in the manage review window. Next, I want to go back to the feasibility study diagram if it's not already open. If you double click this, it takes you right to it. In the browser, here is the document element, and I'm going to drag and drop it in here as a link. So now the study is in here as a link as part of the review. So I go back to manage reviews and I refresh. Now I see the artifact that's under review. Now you can add lots of elements under this review, use cases, class elements, requirements elements. We're going to add some requirements elements. If we right click on this and you remember in properties, we have 2 requirements for this artifact. So it's artifact, see that, feasibility study, and I have 2 requirements. What we're going to do is right click on one of the requirements and move external, and we're going to put it in the same namespace as the planning phase. You can put it in any package, but for this demonstration, we're going to put it there. So you can see now that it is yes, move to external. Let's do that again for this one, move external, same namespace, hit OK, and both of them are external. And you can see the 2 requirements for the feasibility study that are right here. So what we're going to do is shift, select both of them, drag and drop them under the feasibility study element artifact document here, and we're going to go back to this model here and bring in both of these requirements. So we're going to select both of them just by selecting the first one, holding shift and then whatever range, or control left click on them to select the ones you want. We're bringing them in as a link. So I should have said yes for all of them. There we go. So you can see that this feasibility study, if I go to traceability, owns these requirements, implements these requirements. This realization association deals with implementation or implements. Now let's go back to reviews. We're going to refresh again. And there you go. We have our two requirements and our document element. Now we're going back to the left panel. We'll expand this. You can see that approvals has been added. Discussions has been added. There are no discussions found. Priority has been added, and then recents. And we're after approvals for this artifact. So let's go to the discussion and review tab. And here I've got reviews, discuss, and journal. I like to move this over to another window so that I have the browser window open. I'm actually going to put it right over the toolbar so that I have it over here and I can size it any way I want. But what we want to do is start a discussion for the planning phase. And I'm just going to put something in here, need to review and approve the feasibility study. There we go, just something short and sweet like that. So now I have here that the rest of the team can see. Now I should have said this in the beginning, reviews only really work in team environments. So this is a SQL instance for this project. If you're in a private or local instance, you're not going to have most, if not all, of the review capabilities. You can certainly do journaling and things like that, but I think this, reviews is going to be disabled. So we go to reviews, you can see that we're focused on planning phase, 01 namespace, and we have a discussion started by UML operator. And then you can do all the things that you can do in discussions, such as promoting the status of the discussion and everything that I talked about in the other video on my first discussion. So status, you can set the status on it. Priority, you can set the priority. Let's move this to high. If you remember, it gives you triple hash marks there. This means it's high, and other things. So you've started your first review and you need to add some reviewers. So we go over to the Discuss and Review tab under Reviews. We're going to right click on this and create an approver. So you can bring in approvers. I'm going to bring in myself, UMLO. It goes right down the list of your stakeholders. So we're going to double click on that, comma delimited, and we're going to add another one. So let's add Paul, who's our project manager. And then let's add Sarah, who is our security architect. Here's Sarah. And you can always come back in and add more. Let's go ahead and create. All right, so now this general tab shows up with the 3 approvers that you put in here, and their approval status is open. And then if you open it over here on the left, you see open 3 approvers. Now I'm going to simulate another stakeholder logged in. So right now, Sarah is logged into the project and she's going to do her thing by going over, looking at the artifact, reviewing it. You can turn on track changes and things like that, that she can go through a review. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to go ahead and close this. Same thing goes with the requirements themselves. So we have these 3 simple elements that are in here that are under review here. So Sarah has gone through it and wants to approve this. What we're going to do is select the item that's under review, And you can see in the discuss and review window, or in the review tab, you can expand this. She can right click on this, go to status, and now approved shows up. So she can reject it, she can accept it, she can put accepted with these changes, and then after those changes have been made, possibly move to approval. What we're going to do is approve this. And now you can see here for Sarah, the status is now approved. Now I have to note that if you're on anything other than the discuss and review, you'll see if you right click on Paul, you do not get status. You can't approve for another stakeholder that's not logged in. But if I right click on Sarah, who is logged in, I see status and I see priority. And she can set the priority to high. You see this hash marks now moved from nothing to triple, and it says closed high. She's approved. She thinks this is high. And she can come in here, change her status to anything she wants, but right now it's approved. So if you're on any other element, right click, you don't get status. On the feasibility artifact itself, right click, you don't get status. If you even go to this diagram here, right click on it, you don't get status, because it doesn't know, well, who's applying status at this object element in this diagram. You can only do it if you're on the planning. Let's go all the way back up. This lights up under review, expand it for Sarah, right click, we get status. So that creates a lot of confusion with folks, and it's really easy once you get the motions down. Let's now look at review history. So if I go over here in the start tab, turn on review history. Now for me, it pops up down below the work area here, review history. And in this case, you see today there's 3 items under review, and the reviewers are UML operator, Sarah, and Paul, the project manager. And Paul would log in and look and see, okay, Sarah's approved it. The topic priority to her is high, and so on. So if UML operator logs back in, UML operator has the same ability to come in here. We'll see status and priority and make the contributions that UMLO wants to make. And then the project manager is probably going to be the last one that's looking forward to the primary stakeholders reviewing it. Now, if another stakeholder out there wants to be added as a reviewer, they would simply go to the item itself, create an approver, and then add another approver. And let's add in Tony Tech right here. Now we're adding just Tony in. Now Tony Tech is here. Tony Tech is right here. And Tony would have to log in and do what they need to do on this particular element. Now, Paul, the project manager, comes in. He's in the default factory layout where browser's on the left, discuss and reviews in the upper right. Let's go ahead and close it. So properties is in the upper right in the default view, and notes is in the lower right. So Paul's going to do probably every day that he comes in is he's going to go to the start tab. He's going to go to collaborate, reviews, and bring up review history. And it pops up down underneath the work area here. So Paul can see that, all right, UML operator has approved it. Tony Tech has deferred it. Probably put some comments in. Thanks for letting me participate, but I don't need to be an approver, so I've deferred it to UMLO or Sarah, the security architect, and then Sarah's approved. So here's Paul, it's down here. Paul is then going to go from the start tab to reviews and go to manage reviews. Now that pops up here, focused on the planning phase for this artifact. So let's just go ahead and open up general. You can see here, as well as down in history, approved, approved, and then deferred, that's right here. And then Paul can go up to review, select review, it pops up in the upper right here, and open it up and see that Sarah has set it to high. UML has set it to moderate. So do that from here. Tony has it as low here. Now Paul can do is right click on this, because Paul's logged in, has status and priority. So the status is now going to be final approval. And then the priorities can be set to anything. Right now it's none, and we're just going to leave it at that. Now this review was set to take place from today to 3 or 4 days out to the 20th, but it's approved enough by the project manager to be able to come in and review status locks and then lock the review from any of these. So can lock from any further approval, adding any more pros, just select all of them and then hit closed. So now this is approved. Let's just right click on Paul. So no longer sees the ability to change the status. It's been locked. During the approval process, or even after the approval process, anybody can go to the review element, the review artifact, and continue to collaborate. They can go through and discuss. They can go through and do journal entries. All of those things, chat, all of those things can still take place at the artifact level, at the requirement level, however many of those are, and so on. So you can continually 24/7, 365 collaborate on an item before, during reviews, or after reviews. Congratulations, you just did your first review. This can be a complicated subject. It's part of the early adopter, but I'm assuming that you've already gone through the playlist and you're just not starting day one. Otherwise, this might be a little bit more advanced. So we covered how to take any namespace, any package, such as this package right here, and put the elements in this namespace under review. And you've learned how to start reviews from the Start tab to the Collaborate panel under Reviews, Review History, Review, Manage Reviews, which is what you see here in the center. So this is Discuss and Review History, this is Discuss and Review, and this is Manage Reviews. So learned a bit today. Hopefully it's not as complicated as you may have imagined. A lot of people have trouble with this. It's not as intuitive as it probably should be, but once you get the basics down, you can start and complete reviews on any element, application element, an artifact. We showed a more complicated element to put under review, how to bring things into a review model. You can drag and drop the elements that you want under review, and they will show up within the review. Just remember to refresh. A couple other tips. There's so much more to talk about. There's so much more you can do in Sparx Enterprise Architect, but just getting these basics down help you understand how to start reviews, how to add approvers that only are allowed to do approving or any other status and priority on reviews. Otherwise, other stakeholders can do all the other collaboration, journal entry, chat, discussions, and more. So thanks again for watching. And until that next episode, happy modeling.